I was saying earlier, usually they say in sports it's a game of inches, but in this game it is a game of seconds. And as you can see here, 152 to 148, making the
Gila,
difference here.
sama-sama
All the
keras ya.
attacks looking very
Dengan
solid,
Counter
just
sih.
like the whole ice column setup here to avoid having to use the freeze. So we're seeing different techniques being used here as we go through the matches. Once again, both solid performance, but once again, the seconds coming down to the last 4 seconds as we see here, which makes all the difference whether you go to the upper bracket or the lower bracket and try to battle your way up back to the top.
That's right, the lower bracket run. We have seen that time and time again as well with those tournaments. It is always the option of getting that lower bracket run, and with 9 stars, they are for sure a force to be reckoned with in that lower bracket. At the same time, hope the time 12 is going to keep moving on in the upper bracket, because remember how this entire system works. We have this double elimination bracket, which means if you're dropping down to the lower bracket, you still can make it all the way to the finals. But at the same time, if you're making it to the finals, this means you have to win it twice. You have to force the bracket reset. Well, the team coming in from the upper bracket, well, you have to only win once in the grand finals, because you have that advantage of have not lost a single match during this overall bracket stage. So both teams having the chance of still winning, but hope to clash being the upper bracket for sure, having the better options. And the question now is in finding out who are going to be their opponents.
Yeah, now we see for the next match here, we have Wompwomp Gaming against Not Finished. So we're going to have to see what happens between them. That'll, of course, proceed into the upper and lower bracket fill. Also, the War Heroes opponent between them as well. So we'll have to see how the next few matches play out, because that's going to be a really interesting thing to see.
That's right, indeed. But let's take a look at the next team comparison. And I'm just a fan. I just now favoriting whatever the Wompwomp. That logo looks so cute.
Yeah, I see the logo of the Wompwomp, but I also like the Not Finished logo as well. But you can see the team comparison here looking very even here. 98.4 to 98.7 for the average destruction. The stars also 2.83, 2.84. The 3-star rate, though, slightly favoring Not Finished there. And they do still have the same current 3-star streak, but Not Finished does have the 3 1-stars compared to Wompwomp Gaming, so that is maybe going to play a factor here. See the time, percentage, but also stars, potentially getting a 1-star when it's only a 3-man war, could make all the difference and be a game-deciding defense.
Yeah, especially with the results we have seen so far. I feel like a 1-star is, at this stage, it's tough. I do not want to say that it's impossible to come back from, because miracles can happen, but it is a really, really tough position to be in, and you do not want to put yourself into that position as well when it comes down to the overall stress those teams have to go through. But we should be getting ready then really soon with our matchup. We'll take a final look at the Not Finished team information with 21 wins and 3 losses. They're looking like a really strong team. And take a look at that. Their average attack duration, 1 minute 36. Could you believe that?
Yeah, that is looking very fast here, which we did see made a major factor, was the deciding factor of the last war. So it could come down once again to the time. But we have seen, though, some hits do decide to fall a little bit short. So is that going to make an impact on the time, or is it going to be more about the defense? Because as we've seen time and time again, anything can happen.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we have seen now 9-9, but at the same, I feel like the time is not coming in play as many times. On this one, we see now Wompwomp Gaming. It feels like they're going more with safer approaches. They have 2 wins and 2 losses, but overall, their attacks are way slower than to compensate that. The question really is, can they play it safe and go for those 9 stars and not worry about the time whatsoever? Or is this match going to be another nail-biter as what we have seen in our recent match?
Yeah, we're going to have to see what happens here between these two teams, because they look both solid. look very evenly matched. We can see the player comparison here, all having very high average destruction here, 98.8, 98.7. You can see all across the board, 98.9 and a 99 as well from the Smoky God. And you can see the average duration on the Wompwomp Gaming does appear to be longer overall for each of them, about 159, whereas the other side here for the not finished is faster. So, while they're being consistent and attacking and taking their time, cannot finish, put the pressure on Wompwomp to speed things up.
Yeah, I would love to see now with the sets we have seen earlier what the fastest 3-star was for those players. I want to see who has gotten the fastest 3-star so far over this qualifier. So far we have still 61 seconds, I think, was the fastest. But with their average times being so low and like so impressive, maybe they have like even a faster 3-star. That would be crazy, I think. But this as well means that we should get into the match then really soon, as we have went through all of the different.
And the Super Dragon in the Stone Slammer with an Ice Sound does drop the Overgrowth in the back end with all the bats to push the backside as well.
Yeah, pushing that back, and those bats are doing a great job with that. We have the King and the Queen clearing out the entire bottom side, so really nicely planned there. The top set with the towers going down as well. The freeze now was a little bit mistimed, but still completely fine. Since he has so many of them left, should be no issue, because that base is gone, and that was a fast attack again.
Yeah, very fast in here. The base is completely crushed here. Couple of things going down, but it does not matter. There's only one more building, which is the Spell Factory, and about a minute and 20, which is one of the more faster attacks we've seen across all these matches today.
That for sure a really, really great one. This is the thing, right? When you're facing off against a team, which is kind of like, might not have the highest 3-star rate, but if they're hitting fast, it is so tough, because what are you going to do? Do you join their game and try to go for quick attacks? Or do you just play it safe and just hope that they're going to struggle versus one of your bases? That's the big question here. And the question of like strategy they're going into, because what a great attack to start things off. Not just a 3-star, but as well a quick one to really put up the pressure on the other team.
Yeah, that is going to be the real deciding factor here. We're going to have to see if they can really put the pressure. The advantage of attacking first and getting such a fast 3 is you really try to kind of knock your opponent off their game in a way. Maybe they think, oh shoot, I had a plan, I wanted to play it safe, as we've seen here with a longer attack duration, but can you really afford to spend more time attacking when your opponent is putting up fast 3s? You have to make a decision. Do you still stick to the game plan? Do you change your army? Do you change, we saw the Sneaky Goblins. I'm assuming that was, really good for the cleanup, but we're going to have to see what happens in the next attack here from Swavey.
Yeah, and it is still the Dragons, but this time around we see the Lightnings instead. No bats. What is the plan here? We have nice giant arrow to take down 2 out of those air defenses, but he's not getting a sweeper. We have the third air defense zapped out, but this still means that since he has not gotten the sweeper, he will go against that. That might be an issue for him, moving into the Town Hall and into the heavy damage.
Yeah, we see the Stone Slammer coming in here with a couple of balloons. The Stone Slammer taking some damage, has to freeze the CC and poison. Right away, the Queen is taking a lot of damage with the screenshot. Does go down. That is going to affect the funneling on the left side here. The ward ability is used here. The single and the sweeper in the middle with the Stone Slammer. Mini Prince ability does get used. Gets nice value on the multi there with the defensive Queen stepping up here. The tower does explode. We'll see if this really makes a difference here. Only one more freeze. There is a Tesla farm in the back as well. The multi is going crazy. And now the balloons do come out with the rage.
Yeah, with no Queen left, he is missing a lot of power. Tesla on the top side might be an issue, but with a Mini Prince, he's still alive. And supporting those other Dragons. That should be a 3-star, I think. And depending on the backside trap, it should be a fast one, no?
Yeah, it is looking pretty fast here. We do see some skeletons coming out. The troops did get a nice split. The mini prince staying alive is really important here for the overall DPS. The mini prince does a lot of damage, even at the lower town halls, able to clean up everything. Plenty of dragons left over, and Swavy is going to get 3 for Wompwomp.
Beda berapa?
Really
20
nice
detik
job.
masih
And
menang
this
kan?
means both teams are
Gaming.
starting off strong, starting with 3 stars into this
Beda 20
matchup.
menit ya.
Not finished, having the the time lead for now.
10.
But hey,
10 lebih
still
lah.
4 attacks overall to be
11%.
played, so anything can still happen.
Yeah, definitely plenty of attacks here. We can see a potential bait. Nothing really too out of the ordinary besides the queen going down there. Early on, that really only helps with the funneling, or mainly does help with the funneling and the damage, but he did have the Stone Slammer come in. The main army was protected, did a nice ward ability, did a nice Prince ability, which is really, really crucial for those multis, because those multis, even though you might not think they do a lot of damage compared to a single against dragons, there is several targets, and in the esports mode, that is a lot of damage, and could really affect how fast you clean up the base, because as we see here, it is a game of seconds. in some
WR
cases.
sih.
That's right,
Ini kok sama aku
25% more damage
33
on those beams. That is having actually quite a big impact. And even dragons, you're usually quite tanky, can melt within a few seconds if you're not careful, if you're not investing any spells or something. So this is then where those bats are coming in so handy a lot of times, and why so many people are using them on Tower 12 just to work their way around the dragons, support them in any possible way. And this is kind of the secret and the power thing, what they're doing here. But not finished is up next. They will have the next attack for us. And the question for us is 3-star and the time.
Yeah, those are the two biggest questions. And also, I'm starting to be a little bit curious about the army because, you know, we see a lot of bad spells getting used, but this time they decided to opt more for free spells and different types of spells altogether. So, are we going to see more bad spells? Are we going to see maybe the Super Witches once again? It just depends. We saw Super Dragons last match, but I think they're going to stick to the Dragons because it does seem to be a little bit of a race here. But once again, you have to be careful when it comes to those multis, the splash, and the spell placements.
Yeah, making sure that you are in time, correct with the spell placement and such, because we have seen earlier, some players made this more interesting than it should have been with not freezing X-bows, because remember, bats are, there's a lot of them, but they don't have as many hit points, and then those defenses, even when not being a splash defense, which are firing really fast, like the X-bow, are for sure a threat which you have to think about. So if you have the option to freeze the X-bow in combination with, for example, a Wizard Tower, that is for sure something you can do and you should do if you want to have your attack looking strong and keep moving strong.
Yeah, that is very true, especially when it comes down to these very close hits here. We have the Smoky God from Not Finished coming in with a giant arrow through the middle of the base here, rocking the life gem, and a Hound with some dragons on the bottom side. Going to drop the Warden and the Prince here with some balloons. We do see a bunch of pet hunters and a witch coming out though. Is that going to affect him using the abilities early on? The Hound does go down. The Warden is getting targeted quite a bit here. Is that going to force the ability? It looks like it does not. Maybe it will. That could be a factor here. Or
Yeah,
it does get forced.
He gets forced, but at the same time blocking even a black man there as well, which is quite nice. The Queen is struggling and going down to the mortars. No, wait, she's not going down. That was just the shot exploding. But we have those bats now coming in. The top side Wizard Tower is something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, those bats spells. Oh, they go down to a red air bomb. There is a lot of bats going down, but they are coming out again. Nice freeze spell on the Wizard Tower. There is still a Super Dragon, a couple dragons as well use the last freeze, but there is going to be a multi, a Wizard Tower, and an air defense here on the back end. Are these troops going to get stuck on the defensive king? The traps coming out as well. The Warden goes down. That means no more DPS. The Minion Prince goes down as well. Now it's going to be a factor of can the Queen step in and play a big role in reaching over and taking down these defenses, because the multi is now doing crazy damage over time, and the king is actually luring the dragons here.
Oh no, if he's luring them into the elephant's range, that would be bad news. But the Super Dragon actually takes down the Inferno Tower with the splash. this might save him. Dragons are coming in, and the Queen's still there as well, so this should be a 3-star. It's just a question of like how slow it is, but a 3-star is on the table, that's kind of for sure.
Yeah, looking pretty solid here. The Queen coming up very clutch here for the Dragons. The Queen staying alive, and as we've seen, can make the big difference compared to when she does go down early. If she would have went down earlier, that could have been a really big factor, but now she's alive. She can take down the rest of the buildings, break through the wall, get the final with the tower, and that was the main deciding factor. So well done here from Smoky God.
Yeah, but this means now on the other side that, well, we have to keep that in mind, that the time is no longer a big factor for not finished, because even with the fast attack, they should not really be able to, like, I don't know, get a crazy result here on the time front. So they just have to play it safe. While Wompwomp Gaming, they have everything in their own hands. If they can just play it safe from this point on, not go for any crazy risks, and they should look really good. But that is a lot of times way easier said than done.
Yeah, we can see the attack stats here being 2 minutes and 24 seconds, which does kind of take time off the table a little bit here, at least for the other team. Now they can kind of take their time, not feel rushed. We've seen people maybe get rushed, they make mistakes, but now they can really plan, which honestly I think is more important than trying to go for time in some cases like we see here. Having things stay alive, having the Queen stay alive, having the Dragons stay alive is such an important factor, because everything does matter here, especially in the esports mode.
That's right. All of those matches are played within the esports mode. This means that the equipments are downgraded at the same time. Defenses are dealing more damage, 25%, the same as defending heroes being stronger, and attacking heroes are being a little bit weaker. But with those overall stats again on your screen, we can see that Wompwomp is quite safe with their attacks. Can they showcase that here? Muffin is in, and he is going to try and get that 3-star with the giant arrow.
Whoa.
Perfect. Getting both air defenses and the sweeper. It couldn't get started in any better way.
Yeah, and you can see Muffin is going to go on the opposite side of the other sweeper there, so that's not going to be an issue. The Hound tanking, drops some rocket moves on the right side for the blimp there. Super Dragon does come out. We'll see if the Super Dragon can make a big difference for the Yeti Mites. We can see the multi doing big damage here, but pops the Warden ability. The Super Dragon doing a lot of damage. The Town Hall does stay up though. The Super Dragon doing massive amounts of damage to the Yeti Mites, and the Town Hall does stay up.
Oh no, this now means that the entire plan of using the bats on the back end is not possible to be accomplished anymore. He's sending in the bats on the bottom side again. We have a nice ice going distracting, but the Town Hall, he needs to get that Town Hall. And while we have saying just play it safe, this plan is now converting into a huge nightmare, because he should have used the freeze. Try and get that Town Hall now down, but this means Town Explosion will wipe the bats.
Yeah, the Town Hall, even though it was very, very low, still playing a really big factor here, doing a lot of damage, but the time is still looking pretty solid. However, there is a Tesla farm in the back. We still have a decent amount of time there, so it looks like, even though it looked a little bit shaky, the Queen reaching over, stepping, and taking a big role once again in this attack. The Warden is also split, and now it just comes down to how fast these things can be cleaned up, but I don't think that's going to be a factor because of the time from the last attack.
That's right, but this for sure makes this match more intense again, because we see the slower attack here, and that will decrease the average time by quite a bit. And this gives them more chances of a comeback. Muffin, with that blimp, could have invested into the free spare for the Town Hall, but I guess he just underestimated the Super Dragon on defense. We were just like, okay, let's find out together if the Super Dragon is having an impact. And it did. It did have a quite big impact, actually.
Yeah, a lot of the times we're seeing here, even at the Town Hall 12, the lower Town Halls, combined with the esports, the extra damage, and the Super Dragon, once the blimps do land on the Town Hall, there is a lot of splash damage going on from the Town Hall weapon and the Super Dragon, which by the time the Yeti Mites do come out of the backpack of the Yeti, they cannot jump onto the Town Hall, which really, really almost made a difference here. Was still able to get the 3 with a decent amount of time, but who knows, that could have been more crazier had like if things went wrong a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, just a few more things going wrong, and this could have been really, really a big issue. We have seen the stats earlier about the 1-stars. They can happen. It doesn't happen often, that's for sure. But if they do in such a 3 versus 3 format, they are really costly. It is really rough to come back from them.
Yeah, and I want to say very impressive from these players to be able to be in a situation where something doesn't go right, but you have to be able to stay composed, use the rest of your spells correctly, because if you don't, those bats will go down, the dragon will go down, maybe the queen gets locked onto. So still being able to maintain your composure is the most important thing, regardless of whether the plan goes right or wrong. Your opponent is trying to do everything they can to bait you. Headhunters, super dragon, witches, anything they can delay your time, take out your heroes without you paying attention. So when there's a lot of things going on, it might seem like it's easier, but it's easier said than done when there's a lot of things happening.
That's right, a lot of things can happen and will happen, and you have to react accordingly. Right now, we see the next attack setting up a nice funnel, having the queen now working their way working her way towards the far right side, joining up with the king. And we see those dragons taking down the tower right away, and leaving no second chance of leaving it left on the back end.
And now we see the headers coming out for the queen. Queen taking a decent amount of damage, but the queen does take it down. Ward ability is used earlier. The sweeper playing a big factor though. The tunnel is down. We do have an overgrowth for the backhand, I'm assuming for the double multi setup. Yeah, uses it there. Going to try to drop the bats to the left side here. The sweeper is doing a lot more damage than you would think because they're right there trying to take down the sweeper, but they just can't get to it.
Yeah, they can't really get access, but at some point now they got behind that sweeper setup. The bats are now joining up in the middle with those dragons, which always leaves open space for possible red mines. That base should be pretty much done at this point. The queen taking on the defending king, and this is another 3-star on this one again, one on the faster sides, so they might have their chance getting back into this match because, I mean, Term, take a look at that. Lower than 1 minute 30 seconds, that is, they're again in front. 1 minute 42 versus the 1 minute 44.
Yeah, wow, looks like they are going back and forth here with the threes and the time, but very nice three. We saw how they're dealing with the CC, managing everything at the same time, even with the sweeper blowing everything away, delaying the almost inevitable here, but you just never know. But really, really nice with the overgrowth early on. Lets them use the bat spells early, picks up the rest of the base, and the queen can just walk in and take down everything else with the dragon. So overall, very nice with the time and the three.
Really good job. And this is now the pressure on Wompwomp Gaming. They have the last attack, and they need to be not too slow. Let's put it that way. I feel like they're still in a nice position, on time, but they cannot do another big mistake of leaving the tunnel on the back end because that would cost them. It would cost them badly because they would lose this match.
Yeah, and you can see from the player cams here, Wompwomp Gaming and Not Finished, they are talking to each other, probably giving each other advice, talking about the time. You can see they're scouting the base together, giving some clear comms about what to look out for. And that is very important here because especially when the attacks, a lot of things are happening, you want to make sure you have your teammates to give you some pointers. Maybe there is headhunters, maybe there is some traps. So keep in mind everything. That is a good thing to look out for when you are on a team, nonetheless.
That's right. And we have as well after this match, by the way, we have talked about that at the beginning of the stream. We have after this match our first reward getting shared with you guys in the broadcast. So make sure that you keep an eye on that. We're going to then show you that later after the match is finished. But for now, we have the high first. 2 lightnings, most likely for a sweeper. We see the air defenses both sniped. The sweeper is gone. And now the entry from the far side. All or nothing. The tunnel on the other side, even the slammer is right now invested. And he's moving not too fast, to be honest. Taking his time. Getting those dragons in now after 20 seconds of the attack. Now the question is that good enough?
Yeah, now we see the CC coming out here. Is that going to play a factor? Headers are splitting with these super minions. Could that mess up The pathing is taking a little bit of time. You don't want to take too much time, but it's also important to make sure you're doing everything nice free spell. But there is a NATO, and the multi does not go down. Keep in mind, there is no bats. It's mainly free spells. It does do the warden ability, the defensive warden, and the defensive mini prints. With these scallies in the middle, is playing a very big factor. It is all or nothing here. Can the tower go down? And the back end multis.
That sweeper in the core was amazing. This time around, though, he's missing the sweeper. Earlier, he actually took down. Ooh, next freeze is there. But using the rage just for one dragon. Oof, okay. The sweeper is still on. Trying to snipe it with the rocket boost, but there's another 2 black mines actually sniped, so that might be nice on the back end. He should be able to claim this. That is not the big question mark, but he's slowly crossing the 1 minute and 30-second line, and that is actually on the faster side.
Yeah, it's looking very close here. We saw the spell investment trying to take down a few buildings with the same spells here. The minion prince on defense is going crazy on the offensive. Minion prince gets down the warden, gets down the dragon, gets down another dragon. Can the queen reach across with the expo? There's only 2 things left and 3 defenses. 3 is more than 2. And the expos and the Inferno are going to take down the queen. And it's going to be a defense, massive defense for not finished.
Oh no. We see there is a reason why all of those players are bringing the bats. There is a reason why those bats are so popular and not finished, are finishing this one because they're getting the victory, staying in the upper bracket, sending Wompwomp into the lower one.
Wow, absolutely insane defense there. We saw how it happened. There was, we saw the tunnel on the bottom. CC came out, distracting or pulling apart the troops a little bit, and then we saw the tornado trap with the stone slimer coming down. The multi did not go down, sacrificing a freeze and a rage on a single dragon, trying to get the middle, and that was all that was needed. There was not enough spell investment for the back end, and that was a huge defense for not finished.
Yeah, huge defense, but you see as well, time would have been not on their side. They needed a way faster attack.